Boy, howdy.
Oh
uh,
no, hello. Oh,
Today I nominate as Bobby Nash Day. Um Bobby is a terrific writer that we'll talk about how we first connected up here, but uh, he's a prime example of why Glasshouse not only has artists but has a few select terrific writers that we bring to the table, and Bobby has been busy doing a number of Glasshouse projects. So let's bring him in and have a chat.
all right. Award-winning writer and actor,
Oh, yes, we have to talk
Yay.
about that too.
Bobby
Oh,
Nash.
I've
hello,
never
Bob.
had my own day before. I'm so excited.
It's about damn time.
I know, right? I've been trying to get this going for years, but yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby is an interesting case of somebody that connected up with Glasshouse, but then it took what years before we
hmm
ended up giving you your first project.
Yeah, it was like three, I guess 2 or 3 years,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, it was
and that's always fascinating to me because what tends to happen. And Bobby, you're seeing this, and Chris has been through this. I'll connect up with somebody, and there won't be work immediately, and then something happens, a job opportunity, or the person on the roster starts communicating a lot more, and then they come to the front of my mind that way, and then
mhm,
I'm able to push them for work because we've got 200 people on the roster, and I can't focus on everybody every day.
Right.
mhm.
And so that happened. What do you remember? How did we first connect? And let's talk about some of those projects, and then we can talk about your acting.
Sure, sure. It's weird that whole things taking time seems to be like the story of my career. But I'm a firm believer in networking, getting out, meeting people, whether it leads to work or not. I just love talking to creative people. But I had seen you on social media talking with artists and talking about projects and things like that. And I was like, well, this is interesting. I wonder if they rep writers. And so I went to your website, and I think you had 2 or 3 writers on there already listed. And
Yeah.
so I remember just emailing you, and you're like, well, we're primarily more focused on art, but if something comes along, and we talked a little bit like that, and then I went on back to work, and you went on back to work, and it just took a while for a project to kind of like happen, but we stayed in touch. I know we talked through social media quite a bit and
Mhm.
back and forth on posts and comments, and I'm fascinated by your true story posts. Um,
I've got a
and,
lot of those.
yeah, and so I'm fascinated by those. Those are and because I know some of those same kind of stories. I've seen them on my end. And so it was just kind of like that. It was like and then one day you were like, "Hey, are you open? Do you have some free time in your schedule to do this?" And oh, excuse me. And I was like, "Sure." And because my work is split between, I'm kind of half and half. I do some stuff on my own that I self-publish or through my publishing company, but I do a lot. The other half of my time is work for hire. I do comics, novels, audio scripts, those type. I do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I do a lot of those things for publishers, so I can kind of juggle. Because I've learned, man, I could go into the poorhouse really quick just self publishing. So yeah, but I also don't have the budgets to like do my own comics, to self publish my own comics. I just don't have the funds to pay writer or to pay artists, what they need to be paid. So almost all of my comic work tends to be work for hire, and comics is my first love. That's what got me into it. That's what got me That's what got me writing. That's what got me drawing. It's what got me reading. The first thing I remember reading were comics, and I just fell in love with the medium. So to be able to continue to write comics is awesome because I love it. And so yeah, so that's kind of what I remember. It is I wish it was a more exciting story, but you know, it was. But yeah, it's just part of the business, getting out and talking to people.
Yeah.
what what was it that the Jokers wanted to prove that everybody's just one bad day away from going crazy?
Mhm.
Well, I truly believe that most artists are like one bad day away from going broke.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even have to be a bad day. It could just be a so-so day. Yeah. But when the creative bug first hit me when I was a kid, I wanted to be a comic book artist. I thought that was just the coolest. Even before I realized it was a job, it could be, people would pay you for it. I just thought drawing comics would have been like the coolest thing ever. The problem is my art is not quite up to sequential art publishing standards. I can doodle, I can do sketches, I can do commission like one shot pieces, but drawing an actual comic, my work isn't up to a level anybody's ever going to hire me for. But I started writing. I started writing to have things to draw, and then other artists that were doing similar things started going, "Hey, can you write a story for me?" And so that was kind of how I got into writing. And I credit an artist friend of mine for telling me. He set me down one day and he says, "Okay, tough love time," and which I hate hearing, but that day it seemed to penetrate. He's like, you're so on both of these, but I think if you were to focus on either the writing or the art, you'll get better at one. And he said, personally, I think you should focus on the writing. And I guess it was the right day because it kind of it penetrated the thick skull that is my brain, and I realized he was right. I focused on the writing, and 2 years later, sold my first comic script. So the weird part is I've told this story many times in interviews and stuff, and my buddy who gave me this advice says, "I don't remember telling you that." I was like, "Oh, that was like a huge piece of career advice to me." To him, it was like, "Hey, I don't even remember that conversation."
Wow.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. Did I answer the question?
No, you're fine. I lost everything that I uploaded because I got out, so I have to re-upload everything.
Well, while he's doing that, it's like you did a whole series. I don't have yours here, but he'll be able to. We've both worked for Abdo.
Yep.
Doing these various books. I did a series of Greek mythology. Why don't you talk about what you did for them?
Yeah, mine was called Crimes and Time, and the pitch was the publisher provided us with 6. Oh, there you can see them there. Yeah, there they are.
There we go.
They provided these 6 events, which were the titles of the book. And what I was asked to do was to pitch a crime fiction story that happens during each of these. And it had to be tied to it in some way or impacted by it in some way. It couldn't just be, oh, there's a bank robbery and oh, there's a fire. It had, and so I wrote 6 pitches because I wanted all 6 at one time. So I wrote 6 pitches, and I made it a point to go, I don't want it to be the same crime in every book. I didn't want to do 6 bank robberies. So I come up with different crimes to kind of work with that particular event. Then once we sent in the pitches, Abdo then approved the pitches, which I was grateful. They liked the ideas. There were a few minor changes, but they were very minor. And so we went in, and they had some things that they wanted to make sure appeared. Like certain things, can we make sure this is touched on in the book? And so we did that. And so then it was just a matter of going and doing the research, because these being educational books for an educational publisher, they were very interested in having fact pages in the books with, here are true facts, here are discussion things for like the schools, because ABDO's primary audience are libraries, either school libraries or public libraries. So it was very important to them that we have the research correct. And it was pretty simple. The only one where we kind of went back and forth a little bit was the Hurricane Katrina one, because there is some very different information depending on which government agency's timeline you look at. So we picked one. The editor and I, we went back and forth and picked one that we liked. And so went with that, because we had some where it was like, wait, I thought that happened at this time. And it was like, well, according to this site. So we back and forth until we picked one. So we were consistent. And then, turned it in, went through like every other book, you go through the editing process. You write, I tend to write a full script. So I wrote the script, sent the script in, made some edits, then it goes off to the artist. And Lilu, who did the art, Lilu Alves, who did the art for these, he and I have never met either. We've talked online, but at that point I kind of was out of it. I didn't see any of the art until the books were out. So they didn't come back with any art questions.
Yeah, I'm not sure why ABDO does that.
Yeah. Some publishers do, some don't.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, there have been some instances where, I worked for a lot of different publishers. One time I had someone email me and say, hey, I picked up your new book today. It looks great. And I'm like, what new book? And they're like, oh, this one. And I was like, oh, the publisher didn't tell me the book was out.
That sounds about right.
It happens.
From my point of view, ABDO is sometimes difficult to work with. They wanted pitches on this thing, and I think you were the fourth writer to pitch them stuff, and yours was the one accepted.
Nice. I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, and the other writers, two of the three writers who submitted had worked for ABDO before, and their stuff was just very quickly rejected. And it's like, okay, I need somebody else smart to do this. All right.
I think my writing the crime novels might have helped a little.
Yeah.
I do write a lot of crime thrillers and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, anytime you do a pitch, and I don't think I pitch well. I think I pitch okay, but sometimes pitches seem so simple. Oh, well, this is going to happen, but how you make that happen is what makes us uniquely us as writers.
Sure.
And so sometimes I feel like I don't pitch well, which is something I'm practicing.
Clearly you pitched well on this because you beat out all the other guys.
Oh yeah. But it was, and it was also a very, I did enjoy the research part of it. I found it fascinating. I love the topics. I, of course, knew the only one I had no knowledge of whatsoever was the Great Chicago Fire, which I found supremely fascinating once I got into the research and the nuts and bolts of what Chicago was like in 1871. Yeah. But the rest of them, I had a familiarity. I remember telling a friend of mine, it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this thing, or one of them's about the Titanic. Oh, are you gonna watch the movie? And I'm like, no, I'm doing the real version. I can't like swipe something that they'd made up for the movie.
Sure.
But yeah, it was fascinating. It was fascinating the research. I learned something about each of them I didn't know in the researching of them. So yeah, but it was fun. It was fascinating, and it was a fun project. And it was also nice too, because in this particular instance, they hired you for 6 books at one time. So I knew I had 6 books worth of work, because I think I had to, if memory serves, like I had to turn in 1 a month. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And so I knew that for the next 6 months, I would have some work going out to publishers, which is always nice because, as you guys know, this is a very feast or famine kind of business we're in.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You're either busy or you're not. There's very rarely an in between.
And I love the art on these too, because they very much
Mhm.
remind me of like classic anime titles, like
Yeah.
the classic anime movie, covers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember when I first saw like I saw a few glimpses early on, and I was curious if the kind of cartoony style would fit the story. In my head, I wasn't sure, but then once I saw it, I think it absolutely fits. I think it tells a story, but it also, because these are aimed at kids, I think it tells it in a way like I wouldn't. Like you mentioned Mike Diodato earlier, like he could do a great job on these, but they wouldn't be kid books anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Very, very true.
Yeah. So
The only thing about dealing with Abdo that I wish had happened was that they had given you a chance to see the layouts or pencils so that you could give feedback.
yeah,
My own experience on it, when I did the 6 for the Greek mythology, was I thought the layouts in a lot of cases missed stuff that would have made the story or the storytelling better. And I look at it and I can't bring myself to open and look at the books because I know what that was supposed to be. Why isn't it there? But I thought yours, because I had read over the scripts when they came through. I thought yours turned out pretty well considering.
Thank you. Well, I make this offer whenever I work on any comics. I write a full script just so I can get the idea of the dialogue and everything down. And then, but I also put the caveat, if I write a 5-panel, I'm not married to that.
Yeah.
Because the artist is thinking more visually than I am. And there's a lot of times the artist can add things that visually that will make that more powerful. And I'm all for that because it is very much a collaborative. And so I always make that offer. And so when I get to see the layouts and stuff like that, I can sometimes go, hey, you know what? I don't need this dialogue anymore. Or wait, oh, there's something missing.
Yeah.
This is going to be important in 3 pages. We've got to kind of set it up, that kind of stuff. But I don't always get that opportunity. Sometimes I do. And when I do, I can kind of go in and do that. Or if the artist comes back and goes, yeah, what if we do this? And I'm usually 99.9% of the time, I'm like, it's fine by me. As long as the editor doesn't mind, I'm cool with it. Because the artist is they're thinking of the whole page, whereas I'm generally thinking of the whole story.
Of course.
And so they're looking at a page at a time and that flow and how the reader's eye and all that's going to follow. And so I trust the artist is, so if they go, hey, this would work so much better if we did this, I have no problem with that.
Got it.
So
we've got a lot to talk about. You run it, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a quick question. So, were these scripted like a traditional comic book script, where you were like, okay, panel 1, I'm going to see this. Panel 2, was it scripted like that, or
panel 1, this happens. Dialogue, character name, dialogue. I'll put character dialogue. I'll also write sound effects in, or I'll say, I can't think of a good sound effect artist. So you got any ideas? Throw in a sound effector. But yeah, I'll write all that. And because when I don't know the artist, I tend to overwrite a little the description because it's like I don't know if they have the same frame of reference, so I'll describe things more. Whereas if it's someone I've worked with before and I kind of know what they can do, my panel descriptions sometimes get a little less.
Okay.
You know, because I already know what they can do. But yeah, typical, just straight through. Panel 1, 5 panels. Here's what I'm thinking. You know, give them things. I try not to do, unless it's important. I don't tell the artist this has got to be an above shot, looking a helicopter shot. It doesn't have to be a worm's eye, unless that's important. I let the artist have that freedom to design the way they want. If it's something specific, you know, for story reasons, I'll explain it. I would like to do this way for this reason. I also add links and references, especially with these, because there's so much history. Whenever something would be history, I would just go ahead and put a link in the script. This happens. You can see photos of it here. And so that helps the artist not have to go search for reference. If I've got it, I go ahead and give it to them.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, now let's move on to the next cool thing.
Yes, this is the big one there. Dante's Rebirth actually goes on sale this month. It goes on sale Halloween Day. This is I was hired to do a short story for a horror anthology called The Devil's Due. And the concept was deals with the devil always come with a price. And it didn't have to be devils. It could be human devils and whatever. And whenever I do an anthology, especially a themed anthology, my first thought was, okay, I know they're going to get these plots already, you know, so what plots can I do that is unique? So I came up with this idea of a Western town that had made, or that the guy that found it, it's a boom town with gold and silver. But the guy that found it was like, he was dying in the desert and yelled out, "Somebody save me." And something did, but it wasn't a good something. And so, but they turn this guy into a wealthy land baron. This becomes a boom town. But now it's time to pay the bill. And there are people trying to stop it. It's a short story. I wrote a short story, did it, sent it on, book comes out, everything's good. I get a call from the publisher one day, and he's like, "So we're curious, what happens next?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You asked for a short story. I wrote a short story. I didn't really give it thought after that." And he goes, "No, you don't understand. We've been talking about it. This is a series." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So here's what happens next. So I went in, and so the first book, Dante's 10th was the short story. So they wanted to put it out, and I said, well, let's don't do it as a standalone little short story. So I wrote 2 other short stories for that to make out in their novella format. They're like 35,000 word novellas.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first book has 3 short stories that set up the world. There's 3 adventures that set up this horrific Western town with monsters and demons and humans and all this stuff. And then after that, Showdown and Reckoning follow up on trying to pay this debt. And then silly me, but I keep trying to put myself out of work. I assumed 3 would be it. So I kind of wrap the story up at the end of the 3rd one. And then the publisher comes back and goes, "Okay, so what happens in book 4? I'm like, crap. Okay, here's what happens in book 4. So book 4 kind of starts a new storyline. But it's fun. I love playing. I love Westerns and I love horror. So it was fun putting the 2 together. I never thought I'd ever write a Western novel, because who would have thought? But they're fun. It's like the way I tell people when I pitch it, it's like, imagine if Deadwood had also had monsters in it. So it's kind of got that kind of feel. And you know, we're killing people and fighting and monsters and blowing stuff up. And then Jeffrey Hayes does our covers, which are absolutely fantastic. And it was the publisher's idea to make all the covers look like they were old books, which I thought was brilliant. They've all kind of got that burnt kind of paper look to them. which is you see more when they're close up. But yeah, it's so that was fun. So I've enjoyed that. I'm actually book 4 will be out in October on Halloween Day of 2025. I've already started on book 5. So, and we're going to do an omnibus that collects the first 3 and a short story I did for another anthology sometime next spring. So not bad for just something that was going to be a short story, a one and done,
Right.
no plan.
And I'm pretty sure that woman on the cover was one of my teachers as a kid.
I got to tell you, Jeffrey comes when he's working on the covers. Jeffrey will email me and go, "Okay, do you have anything in mind for certain character, a certain actor or a type?" And how I described Miss Maddie, that's the character's name, Miss Maddie. And this is how I described it, and I think he captured her. And I was like, vampire Aunt May. And that's what it came up with. So yes, it's wonderful. Yeah. So having him being a comic fan, he had that like, got it. And so yeah, but they're fun. It's fun playing with those old Western tropes. So yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I blow stuff up, and there's monsters. As you can see, all the covers have some kind of monster on them. So yeah, it's fun. It's just fun. The publisher seems to be happy with them. We won a couple of awards for them. So the publisher's happy. I'm happy. The readers seem to be happy. So yeah,
very cool.
Always nice when that happens.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. It's gonna sound like this is my career has no plan to it. The Snow series. A buddy of mine, a writer friend of mine, calls me or emails me and says, "Hey, I'm working with this record producer out in LA, and they're going to try to do with ebooks what they do with music downloads. And they want ebook novellas that people can download, and that's all it's going to be is ebooks. And they're looking for people. I recommended you to them. Would you be willing to talk and pitch him something?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I'm thinking, great, let me come up with something. And while I'm having that thought, the phone rings, and it's them on the phone. And I'm like, "Oh," so we're talking. He's telling me what they want to do. And he goes, "Okay, what's your pitch?" And I'm like, "I've known about this for 2 minutes." So to scrambling, because we all have ideas that we've formulated over the years and so I grabbed like 3 pieces of ideas that were in the back of my head, and I slammed them together, and I pulled the name Snow out of thin air or somewhere else, but I pulled and I pitched it, it's this, it's it, and I think what sold them was I was like, it'll be my love letter to the PI and detective shows of the 70s and 80s. And I think that's what sold it. But they're like, "Great, let's go, let's do it." And so I wrote the first one, they put it out. I wrote the second one, nothing happened. I was working on the third one, nothing happened. Publisher goes out of business. Took me like 3 years to get my rights back because they didn't want to let go of them. So when I got them back, I shopped it around to a few other publishers, but at the time, none of the publishers I talked to were interested in doing novellas, which is weird because a lot of publishers now want novellas. And so I started releasing them myself, which is what turned me into a self-publisher, a publishing entity. But these have also been very popular, and surprisingly, I didn't expect them to do as well. But that love letter thing to the 70s and 80s, I think, has grabbed people. I can compare it to things like Rockford or Magnum, and
yeah,
people immediately know what tone it's going for.
yeah.
And this one will be out in November, Snow Island, and that will be book 8 of the series. Plus, there are 3 novella-sized anthologies where I had 6 other writers write stories, and so there's 3 stories in each of those. I wrote one, and then 2 other authors wrote my characters, which is a terrifying thing to have other people write your stuff, because your first thought is, What if it's not good? Your second thought is, what if they write my characters better than I do? And that kept me up nights. But yeah, it's this one also won some awards, which was very nice. Very unexpected. But I started out with the first few covers had Dennis Calero did the covers. Who did the cover? He did the cover for for the first one with the first publisher as well, and then he let me reuse that cover when I put it out. And then Jeffrey Hayes started doing some of the newer ones. They kind of have more of a, whereas Dennis had more of a design element where he drew snow as kind of this abstract, it was very beautiful cover. And then whereas Jeffrey does kind of like these movie poster style things. And then book 8, Snow Island, I've been telling people is in kind of like my pre-promotion that this is the most love letter to those shows ever, because in the 70s and 80s, every detective went to Hawaii at least once.
Yep.
Every detective show had a backdoor pilot. This is both. Snow goes to Hawaii, gets in trouble, and then a friend of his who's been in other books, it's basically his book. It's the backdoor pilot for him getting his own book. So yeah, so I have fun playing with those kind of tropes, and just they're very action heavy. They're very character centric. Sometimes like a Rockford or a Magnum, sometimes the characters are more important than the plot. The crime is not always the motivating factor. It's just the thing that leads to the character moments. But I love them. They're it's fun to write. But yeah, just like the Dantes, it's something I pulled out of thin air, which might be a secret to my success. The stuff that I spend hours agonizing over, nobody cares.
I gotta ask. Talk about the distribution of these things. Are your books and the last one we were looking at, are they available in normal bookstores, or are they available online, or how are readers able to get these?
Mostly they're available at all retailers online, or they will order them. Like you can walk into Barnes and Nobles and say, I want a snow book, and they'll have it to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
But they don't shelve them because they're not returnable. Because we either print on demand or we print, I print a small batch to have, and there's a few smaller bookstores that have deals with me where they buy them at a discount, where I will sell them. But I don't have, bookstores aren't shelving them. So we do a lot of, online. It's in various places, but we have ebooks, audiobooks, paperbacks. Every 3 of the novellas I collect in a trade. So the novellas are 5x8. I wish I'd been smart enough to bring some to hold up, but the novellas are 5x8. So Snow Island will be a 5x8. When I collect 3, they're at 6x9. So like regular novel size. And so I'll do a collected paperback at 6x9 and a collected hardcover at 6x9. So depending on what format people would like to pick them up in, they're in all those various formats. Doing it that way, I started doing it that way as novellas because it allows me to put out more books and help promote more books. And then so like this one will get promoted itself and as part of the collection. And so we put them in as many places as we can, but it's mostly people ordering them online or from stores that have had a relationship with me or have asked, can I stock these?
Do you have an online store that we can promote here?
I do. If you go to bobbynash.com, at the top left, there's a store to click.
Okay.
I'm a little lax in updating it. I need to get that done. I also tell people this all the time at shows. You can just email me directly if there's a book of mine that you want. If I've got it, I can sell it to you. I can send you I'll send like an invoice, either PayPal or credit card invoice.
Okay.
So I have lots of options. I do a lot of events, so I am out I tend to sell more paperback books that way, either at events or people ordering them directly from me. Online tends to be more people buying the ebooks or the audiobooks.
Now, is it the same for the Western series, or is that?
Yes, they're a small press publisher as well. So I don't think they don't have they have a few bookstores that they have relationships with, but yeah, they're not on any shelves.
All
But
right.
then I do work for some publishers that do. I mean, it just depends on the size of the publisher or who the publisher is. I've done a couple of big publishers, like I did a book for Dark Horse, so they were in stores.
Mhm.
I've done stuff for Moonstone and places like that, and they're in comic shops and whatnot, but less so like Barnes and Noble and places like that.
Well,
I've had a
it's good to know because you've got some
yeah,
very interesting stuff that you're showing here, and I didn't want people going to Barnes and Noble and say I can't find it anywhere.
right,
Uh,
right,
so
yeah, they can order it. They'll happily order it for you, but yeah, they rarely tend to stock them on the shelves. I do have libraries there are a few libraries that do stock a lot of my books, especially doing the crimes in time. I've gotten a lot more library work or library gigs. They're inviting me to come talk at
mhm.
libraries and schools. So those institutions are stocking that book more so than some of my others. But as a result, sometimes then they go, "Oh, you also write this stuff. Can let me can I order some of those?" And I'll give them to them at a discount so they can put them in the books in the libraries.
Well, that
So
is excellent.
yeah, and then there are other publishers depending on who you're working for. Like obviously Zorro and Remo Williams and things like that have more of a name, so they're more likely to be found in a bookstore on a shelf.
Okay.
So yeah, it just depends on the publisher, and
Okay.
certainly none of the ones that I publish myself, which in this photo here, they'll be on the left side of the photo, the Evil Ways, Snows.
Mhm.
Those are not going to be on any bookstore shelves at like Barnes and Noble or anything
Yet.
yet. I, I spent a lot of time trying to make it happen, and it just, yeah, it's not an easy process. Like I said, I do work with several, smaller bookstores. Especially I live in Georgia, so I especially around the South because
Mhm.
I do a lot of events, and so bookstores are like, "Hey, you're in here a lot. Let's put some books on the shelf because oh yeah, he was here. He'll be back in 6 months and doing that kind of stuff." So yeah, so I developed those kind of relationships, but I would love to see more of my stuff in like Barnes and Nobles and stuff. I one time I saw one book I worked on in a Walmart once, which
Oh, okay.
was cool. It was interesting. I wasn't expecting it to be there, but yeah, it was on a wall in a Walmart, which was nice.
Very, very cool. And I will make sure you have your bobbynash.com in the comments as
Thank you,
well.
thank you. Yeah,
Uh,
that's the easiest way to find stuff. There's links to everything, but yeah. And then like I said, I do a lot of cons, so there's always stock. Like almost everything in this photo. I think I've sold out of 3 of those books since that photo was taken, but I can always order more as well. So
Got it. Got
just
it.
yeah.
very, very cool.
Do we have other books to talk about, or should we switch to your acting career?
I think these are acting shots. These are
Uh
Well,
actually
he's acting like they're acting
yeah.
shots, but okay.
Actually, this was a shot I did for an interview.
Mm.
My buddy Dan Jolly does his newsletter, his monthly newsletter. He does it like Fumetti style, so it's all photos of him with word balloons, like a comic.
Mhm.
And so he started interviewing people, and so he interviewed me for his newsletter. And so with every question and answer, he says, "Now I need a photo to go with every answer." And I think one of the answers I was like, I don't know. And so that was the but I liked it so much I used it a lot. Um, but yeah, it's the acting career. This has been a weird year. Like there's been like between the acting is kind of dried up. the work for hire has slowed down this year. Georgia's tax incentives, I think, have gone away or slowed or something. So where we were filming tons of stuff here in Atlanta, now they are not. And so I'm not getting as many opportunities to go and do stuff. But I did a lot of background stuff. I did a few things where I was day player, come in, work 1 or 2 days, film everything for the movie in 1 or 2 days, and then they break it up. So I've done that. So I've been killed in a horror movie, that which was fun. I think everybody who's ever been an actor has to die in a horror movie at least once. So I did that, and I was the tech guy in a movie and its sequel, where it was like a play on like 80s buddy cop movies. So I was the tech guy that the main actor like slaps around all the time to get information out of, stuff like that. So little bits, walk on roles, or you're interested in one scene,
So
and then
you've been the guy in the chair,
I've been the guy in the chair.
and you were an actual street.
Yes, I was a member of Danny the Street's Dannyzens in Doom Patrol, which is cool. They they dressed me up. The Dannyzens are the weirdos. That's how it's referred to. They told us you're one of the weirdos, and in the Danny the Street is like a mutant who is a street, and people live on him. Her, I forget. Yeah. And then Danny gets injured and turns into a brick. And the brick gets broken. And so we have to knit Danny back together, and that requires a party, because the good energy will reignite Danny's and bring Danny back to life. And so we go and we have this party at the Doom Patrol mansion, which was filmed in a real mansion. It was great fun, but we're all dressed up in just the weirdest kind of things. And at the moment, I had a full beard. I had grown it out for another role. I had grown this big beard, did the role got cut out of the movie completely, but I had this big beard. And so they were like, "Oh, you would be perfect for this guy." And so they dressed me up. And so they put me in, I looked like George R.R. Martin basically, but I was in like gold lame and mascara, and they had glued like diamonds to my face, and I had the hat, and so I'm there and I'm doing all this stuff, but the guys kept referring to me as Disco George. And so we laughed a lot, we played a lot. And so basically we went and had a party for 3 days, and they basically just filmed us having this party. But it was great. It was cold, so cold. We filmed this, our last day, we filmed it December 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And if you've ever been on a set, there are certain things you can't do on a set. You can't run air conditioning. You can't run heat, because the microphones pick them up. So it was like 20 degrees outside and about 25 degrees inside. So we were having this party, and I at least was fully dressed. There were a lot of people wearing next to nothing.
Like Flex Mentallo.
Yes, who were freezing to death. And yeah, like they would yell cut, and like people are like bringing coats and wrapping coats around people. And but yeah, so we did that for 3 days. That was so much fun. But we basically just hung out, had a party. I'm a comic fan, so being on a comic set was cool. I got to meet Timothy Dalton, which is a James Bond fan, was really cool. That kind of thing. I spent a lot of time with Flex Mentallo. I also spent a lot of time with Robot Man and Negative Man. So the bonus for me was when we weren't working, getting to see the innards of the Robot Man costume, because he can't see, which amazed me what he's able to do in that suit, because when he's got the mask on, he can't see because those red lights are blinking in his eye. And so as soon as they yell cut, somebody pops the thing off, and they have to help him sit down and stand up because he can't do that on his own. And so I was able to like look at the innards of the mask and see it close up. So those were the nice bonuses of getting to work on that. So
How did you get the Doom Patrol job?
That one particularly, I got invited because of the beard. Like the casting had cast me in something else, and so we need somebody that looks like we've got a database of weirdos. Bobby's a weirdo. He would be perfect because I played the weirdo character a few times. I was a weirdo also there was a TV show called Lodge 49. They had Wyatt Russell and Bruce Campbell, and it was about this lodge, and they were opening it up to like not the normal, ordinary people, but they were inviting the weirdos in. And so I was one of the weirdos. I was weirdo number 3, and we didn't even have names. I was just weirdo number 3. But they put us in these multicolored whatnot suits, and it was weird. It was just weird. But I was in their database as a weirdo. So, hey, we need a weirdo. And so then I did that. And then I got the beard thing was astounding because I got 3 other gigs because the casting would go, "Do you still have the beard?" I was like, "Yes, I do." The last one that happened, I had the beard and I was like, "Okay, this thing is driving me nuts." At this point, it's like out to here. And I'm like, it's got to go. And so I'm literally in the bathroom, clippers in my hand, phone rings. Yeah. Please tell me you still have the beard. Absolutely, I have the beard. What do you need? And it was Creep Show. They were doing what turned out to be the holiday special. And we need Santas. We need warrior monster hunting Santas. And I'm like, I am there. That sounds
Sweet.
awesome. So we go and we film on Thursday. We're filming all the outside stuff. It is hot as hell. It's like 95 degrees, but it looks like they've made the outside look like it's covered in ice and snow. There's like 20 something of it. We're in full Santa gear outside, running, attacking this building. It was brutal. But this was on Thursday. So we're supposed to come back Monday and we're going to be fighting the monsters on the inside. So I go home. It's late Thursday. I get up Friday morning and the COVID quarantine is in effect. And they didn't film the next scene for 6 months. So I kept the beard for 6 months. And then they were like, "Look, with restrictions, we're just going to have the stunt guys do it. We're not going to bring you back." And I'm like, darn it, but the beard can go. So, right. Yeah, but yeah, so you don't see much of me because all of the stuff we filmed outside, you only see through like the video monitors because they're watching us attack from inside. So yeah, so I'm like that big in the grainy photo, but it was absolutely fun. The bonus of doing Creep Show, because it was a very low budget show.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have like super huge full sets. They were corners. Like this corner behind me would have been one set. We're filming everything, shooting at that. So I got to walk around and look at the various sets. I got to see the creep. I got to see all that. Greg Nicotero ran that, so I got to work. He directed the Santa Claus stuff. But I did 2 episodes for them. The other one I did was the one Paul Dini wrote it. It was the Night of the Skin Crawlers or Skinwalkers or something like that, where they've found these larvae that eats human fat. And so someone has turned it into a miracle weight loss cure. And I am the first person that you see it happen to. I am the before. I go in for the procedure. I'm sitting in the waiting room with Dana Gould. Dana Gould and I are chatting, and he's the primary character. And so they call me in. I go in. I'm Mr. Simmons. You got to go in. Another guy comes out. They've made us look exactly alike. They dyed my hair to match his. And like he didn't have glasses. So I just he wore my glasses out, which was a bad idea because he couldn't see. and neither could I. So, but we did all that, and so the conceit of the show, the twist of the show, was these things are absolutely safe, except once every 1,000 years, a certain solar event happens that causes them to explode. Naturally, that event happens tomorrow.
Of course.
Yes, but so that kind of stuff was just, it's fun. I love the behind the scenes stuff. It's like going to film school. It's like watching learning how the sausage is made, really.
Yeah.
And so I get a big kick, and I like TV better than movies in terms of what you can see, because when you work on a movie and they yell cut, they send us down the road to a trailer and I can't see anything. I'm in a trailer. When we're on TV and they yell cut, we go stand over there.
Yeah.
And I can watch what they do, and I can watch how the actors prepare, and I can watch how props are moved around to make the same spot look like a different spot. And just, I find it fascinating. And so I've done a few of those. I win that Kevin Bacon game all the time because I'm in a scene with him in The Following. I was in the first episode of The Following. So I always win that game because, hey, yeah, it's so there's a lot of fun stuff like that. But it's more of a side thing for me. It's stuff I do when, I don't have writing deadlines, or, I can do a little acting. I'm never going to be Al Pacino, I'm not going to, nobody's going to be giving me Academy Awards or anything, but I can do the character stuff or the day player.
Or the weirdo.
The weirdo, yeah. Or
Yes.
there was a short time there for a couple of years where if you were filming in Atlanta and you needed an angry fat guy, I was your man, because I played the angry fat guy a lot. Yeah, there's a big shot of me in Dumb and Dumber 2 where I am just standing next to Jim Carrey, as pissed off as I can be. And that's all I had to do was just be pissed off.
Bobby the glamour hobo.
Yeah. I've been called worse. Yeah. So, but it's fun. Like I said, and I've done some really fun ones. Like I said, I've only done 2 things this year, and those were both just background gigs. There's a thing coming up called the Murtaugh Murders, which I think is on Hulu. I'm in the funeral scene, where Amy Madigan's character is her funeral. And then what was the other? I did something else where I was a back. Just how long ago it was, I don't remember. But so I've done that's all I've done this year. It's really slowed up a lot. So it's also been, I have other personal things. I'm my father's caretaker, so it's hard for me to leave for too far. But yeah. But then I also they do film some stuff, or at least they were filming stuff close to where I live. So I got on a lot of those projects where it's just, hey, by the way, I'm 5 minutes away. I will show up. I will do the work, so that helps. But yeah, the acting's fun. I'll do it anytime I can, but it's more like a hobby than a career.
Got it.
Very cool.
A fun hobby though, and they pay you.
Getting paid for your hobby is a pretty great thing.
And a lot of times there are perks too. Like sometimes you eat really well. I've been on some of especially if you're on a small set where it's not a lot of people. Yeah, that's not the day they're having like sandwiches. No, we're having real food. So yes, I've eaten really well. I've met some wonderful people. I've got to travel a little bit. That's been fun. So yeah, there's nice perks to it.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I think we've taken up a lot of Bobby's time. Should we wrap, or we have anything else to cover first?
Oh, I think that's good.
All right.
Because I can talk. So sorry, you guys have to just shut me up.
No, you're fine.
I have been known to ramble.
I've been happy just to sit here and listen because I'm finding this stuff fascinating, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time. Since this is the first time we've ever actually gotten to hear each other's voices
Mhm.
talking.
Yep.
So thank you so much for this.
Oh, my pleasure. This was fun.
All right.
Yeah.
So thanks, and I'll be should be sending you another writing job before too long.
Awesome. I love those.
All right. Great talking to you, Bobby.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Well, that was wonderful.
That was, I always enjoy talking to Bobby. So,
Well, see, you've had that advantage. You've been on another podcast with him, and I didn't know anything about his acting sideline. So it's all fascinating, and Bobby is such a pro at just getting the jobs done. So this was a special treat.
and it always fascinates me the sheer number of people that you work with that you're like, first time I've ever really talked to you.
And that happens because only so many hours in a day.
Exactly.
How many years were you on the roster before you and I started communicating every day?
Yeah, exactly. Like 15 years, something like that.
Yeah. So this stuff happens, and there are some folks that many years will go by, and I've never had a conversation with them. Everything has been email or messenger or something like that. So an opportunity to do this with fun folks like Bobby, just terrific. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Next up, I wanted to talk about we have just launched a new Kickstarter. Wanted to talk about that for a minute. Folks should keep in mind that there's right now, I think, 2 weeks left on our Skyclad uh, hardcover Kickstarter. So they should check that out. But we have just launched a special Kickstarter for Jade Warriors. Now we did a while back. We did this uh, wonderful hardcover edition, which I have one here, of course. Yeah. So this is the Jade Warriors. It's the 8.5 by 12.5 absolute edition format in the slipcase and so forth. But for this particular Kickstarter, uh, it's a really limited edition of 28 sets.
Okay.
Well, what we did was the first 3 cases of books that the came off the press were sent for Diodato to approve. So he's decided to release those. There were 30 in the 3 boxes total. He kept 2, and then the 28 that are remaining, we put out for this special Kickstarter. So it comes not only with a signed certificate authenticity, it comes with a signed print and a piece of Diodato's original artwork. So the headshot of one of the Jade Warriors is included in each of these sets. There's also in each of these there's a separate card that has been signed and affixed in the book. Now in these 28, it's a different card, a different art image that we've all signed. So that's exclusive and only available in this set. Plus, there's 6 in the set that contains original artwork from the Jade Warriors book. He did sketches, or his layout sketches, which were typing paper size.
Right.
And there's 6 of those that we have that are included. So that's like in the super premium edition of this. So people can go to Kickstarter right now, type in Mike Diodato, and this Jade Warriors Kickstarter will show up. It just launched yesterday at 6 p.m. So we are running it now, and I think the people who like Deodato's work will really love this.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure to have that link in the description as well. So
That is terrific. Um, we have portfolios to review.
we have a portfolio to review. Yes, we do actually. So
All right, let's do that. Ta-da! All right, let me pull this up. I have not seen these until this moment, so this is pretty cool. Let's see. Take a look at what we have, and then I will go back. All right, so this person sent along a pencils only portfolio, looking for work. And so I take a look at the pages and say, all right, there's nothing wrong here. I'm kind of lost. Okay, we have the establishing shot on the king character, and they're pointing arrows down at. I guess they're pointing at those two characters, but I don't see a lot of storytelling that gives me sense of place here.
right,
Because we've got the slight upshot on the king, then we've got the down shot, but it it looks like they're inside in the first shot, in a castle or something with actual walls, but then I look down and I see, what is that? The ground behind them? I don't know. And then we've got the close up on one of them and a close up on the next, and back to a close up on the king. And I really didn't get the sense of place that should have been in the first page of the story. Now, I guess this is from a different story.
this looks like the darkness.
Okay. Well, let's get to this.
Oh, they didn't send them in order. That's what it is.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm still lost. I don't quite know what happened. All right, the lady from the previous shot, she's finished pouring his drink. There's still the background, which changed a little bit because they don't look like the same cement blocks or whatever they are behind him. There's consistency problems. Look at his crown in panel 1. It has all those points there. Now we get over here, it's different. Wait a minute, even his costume is a little different. The suit he's wearing is a little different. So the artist has consistency problems. We get through all the second page, I'm still lost. Is this, has this king set up his throne on the outside of a building? Because it sure looks like what's happening there is with all these people, I don't know, getting shot with an arrow, are outside. So I really am lost. Oh, okay, it is outside. It took us now before we got there. Probably shouldn't have gone 3 pages to establish that. But even so, take it back. The people in panel 2 here don't look like they're so far down that they'd be down, well, way down there.
Right.
And man, those steps, are you taking like 4 foot? You have to climb these to get up these stairs. I really am lost. And his crown has returned to the many spikes that weren't there on the previous page. So there's a lot of just storytelling things that don't really work. And you notice all these portfolios that I review, I focus on the storytelling first.
Right.
Style is the secondary there, because comics being the medium that they are, um, excuse me, the storytelling has to come first because that's the medium we're dealing in. All right, so this is from a different story. Um, I probably would not do I guess the sequence works. I mean, okay, light bulb shots of the characters, um, but this probably, except for the multi-panel thing and him breaking the light bulb in the last panel. All right, there's something interesting there. But I would suggest that artists focus more on submitting portfolios that show a little bit of everything. Can they draw real people and real faces as well as action and you know outside things? Can they draw horses? Can they draw dogs? Find pages that put them through the motions of drawing the most different things possible.
Right. And we've seen this exact script. So I'm assuming this is the standard script put up by Top
Yeah,
Cow for artists to draw from.
and that is fine. It's and that is great for Top Cal's purposes. And they might or might not have had a great reason to make it this particular script. I've seen a lot of editors that um, an artist asks for a script and they'll send or post something, and it's just whatever happened to be handy. And it may turn out that those weren't necessarily the absolute best pages to show off all the things an artist can do or
Right.
needs to do to get the job. And I'm looking at this, and this is always kind of fascinating what's done with the darkness and the monsters and so forth. But there ends up being a stiffness to all this. It just doesn't. There's no camera movement in the sense that everything feels like it's a still shot rather than, um, let's say, actors performing the scene and the camera's moving to show this. Everything seems frozen,
Right.
and if I would suggest if there were a way, whether it's tilting the camera or a different angle or just something to give more of a sense of movement. If he's pulling something out, don't have him about to pull out the phone, have him pulling out the phone. Instead of the before and after, we should be seeing the during.
Right.
Sort of like if somebody is doing a baseball scene, and if somebody has the baseball bat, and you got him like this, and the next shot he's already hit. Well, we've missed the big action of him actually hitting. So show the every panel should be the most during rather instead of the before and after. And I don't really get that's the feeling of that in the way these pages are depicted. There's a lot of just staring and looking at one another. Uh, at least there's eye contact, but uh,
And I'm not sure if it's the script that's written that way, um, or if it's the artist just so focused on trying to, so quote unquote, impress with, the drawing skills, that they forget about the storytelling,
yeah,
or what. It's
yeah,
hard to tell.
for my purposes, this might not be the greatest script to show if you want to get jobs. It might be for Dark Horse or I'm sorry, Top Cow, but because they may have had a very specific reason for posting this or offering this. I'm a little confused here too, because, and I made the mention of this in the last panel of this page, it looks like he broke the light bulb.
Right.
And then I go back and okay, he's turned the light bulb's there again. It's one thing if you turn the bulb so it's not connected anymore, but it's still in there. It's something else if he's showing it broken, but we see no shot of him pulling out a new light bulb to put one in. So,
Right.
how did we go from a light bulb that's clearly broken because we see the pieces and being pulled out to having a light bulb? If he had a new one, it would have been nice to have seen that. And then here he's breaking the light bulb again. So I'm a little bit lost. Again, it's all about the storytelling.
Right.
And the other thing that always catches me in these things, I'm left-handed. I pay attention to what characters do. Okay, he's pulling out the bulb with his right hand, which of course he does over here again. But the way he reaches for his phone, he does it with his left hand. Me being left-handed, I would have done both things with my left hand.
Right.
Unless where they've established that the character is ambidextrous or the artist just isn't thinking about it. But I think about these things. So overall, I would say with this artist, I'm not as impressed with the storytelling or consistency panel to panel as I should be. So the work isn't quite there. There's also a sense of the drawing skills of his ability to draw faces and put a finish on this probably isn't as strong as it needs to be. So I would send this artist back with, keep working on the drawing skills, get the basics down, study faces because the faces are really awfully generic. Um, Focus on consistency, and I would maybe send him a script that's better suited to showing a little bit of everything and say, here, you might want to try this and add this to your portfolio. But in my opinion, he's not ready yet. Now, it's good he's putting in the effort, but he needs to put in more effort to get better with the drawing, get better with the finish. Certainly the consistency and the storytelling definitely needs work.
Absolutely. Not quite there yet.
Yeah. But I appreciate him submitting. All right. So wanted to talk a little bit about, we've started conversations before about ethical AI. And is there a way to make that happen? And it struck us that if AI were being used as a tool to take still images that an artist has drawn and he's adding motion to his still images, or the artist is working with someone who can really tweak AI to do animated graphics for whatever that purpose may be. So, like creating a motion comic out of that artist's own work with that
Right.
artist's approval, involvement, and so forth, is the way to go. And so we have been doing experimentation on that end. And we took one of the projects that I've been doing with artist Tina Francisco to create a demo trailer for our Thundersars project.
Yeah.
And I thought we would show your work on Tina's characters. That she's been looking at what you've been doing and giving approval every step of the way. So it becomes a tool to create something, a video that we are then able to sell to show to financial people who would come along and say, well, we want to see a trailer. And it's like, well, we can do an animated demo from the graphic novel, which we have shown them. And they said, oh, no, we want to see it animated. Okay, are you willing to put up $250,000 to get a proper CG animated trailer where we've completed all the rigging and everything else that needs to be done and creating all these environments? No. But once you have it, show it to us, and then we can get this funded. Okay, then we'll give you something that will um, put you on the spot and see if you'll get it funded.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's what we've attempted to do here. So why don't you go ahead and show what you've done?
All right. So yeah, this is very much a proof of concept, if you will, animated trailer for the graphic novel Thundersars that we're currently attempting to get funded.
In a mythical place called Chicago lives Billy Masterson, too cool for school
Can anyone tell me the rules for making a haiku?
Be happy to teach this class. Somebody has to.
and too bright for the classroom.
Take yourself to the principal's office, now.
Here we go again.
Billy's parents are actual scientists. His father specializes in subatomic particles.
After work, do you want to go collide some particles?
But we have a collider here in the lab.
And his mother's the smart one. Billy's older sister Melanie may look like a party hardy, but when she's done with the partying and shopping, she can be seen helping her parents with a big breakthrough. But sometimes, breakthroughs backfire. And new solutions mean whole new worlds to explore. A land where nothing is as it seems. In a land of dinosaurs, trolls, monsters, and magic. A land where Thundersars fight for survival against scheming, terrible trolls out to destroy them. Brother and sister meet newfound friends amidst the monsters, and the way back home may be impossible. This is the land of the Thundersars. Thundersars. Coming soon.
It's interesting to me because we're able to give potential investors enough so that, this isn't for public consumption. This is to raise money to get the funding to produce something with traditional animation that can then be marketed. So again, using it as a tool to do something rather than trying to put it out there and making money directly from that to audiences, because this is not an attempt to cut talent out. It's working with the talent to get something that's going to get produced that the talent's going to be working on.
Yeah, so we can get a budget to hire more talent to produce the actual finished professional.
Yeah,
and that's not discounting the tons and tons of hours that we've both put into this.
Yeah, there are people that think AI is just typing a description and pressing a button, and you've got what, 200 hours into that thing?
I've got a lot of hours into it.
Yeah, it is insane the amount of time and each shot, and then the way we had to, the way you crafted the music and everything else to work, and it functions as a serviceable thing to show potential investors. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, then of course I think this would be cool, Chris, and I want to do this, and this, and I have to go. They can't do that. The AI just can't do that. I'm sorry.
Part of this is learning the limitations of the tool, just like when Photoshop or any of those other things started. They're more advanced now. There's more
Right.
things you can do with them.
Exactly.
And as that will continue to happen with AI programs, although I had avoided them for so long, we had to get ahead of the curve because clients are asking us for this stuff, and it's a reality that we have to deal with. So how could we come up with a way to utilize it that could be to our artists' advantage so they can continue to make money?
Exactly. And I realize right now that you say AI, and the vast majority of the art community and creative communities, they pull out the pitchforks and they're like, get the monster.
And I'm in agreement with them in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to see AI out there as any still images, any covers or interiors or whatever that are stealing work from the real artist, because those AI programs, there's nothing built into those programs that gets the artists who get the artists paid, who were the source material that those programs are scraping.
Exactly.
Where
And
what we're trying to do here, you're inputting Tina Francisco's work to get Tina Francisco's images in motion.
exactly, yeah. Creating the models, taking her artwork and creating the models with the AI and then animating them and whatnot. But, and this is, like you said, just like Photoshop, this is going to end up, AI isn't going anywhere. And it's going to end up somewhere right in the spot where like Photoshop and all the other tools that we use are now. It's going to be somewhere in the middle of where you're going to have the button pushers who just create single images and try and sell that as their own, and at the other end of the spectrum you're going to have artists who are using it as a tool to help their work along.
Yeah.
And then
where I'm seeing it as a problem is things like that. There was the Hollywood announcement of this completely AI created actress. And then the Screen Actors Guild responding to that, and individual actors and actresses coming out against it with good reason. It might be one thing if an actor made a deal, like if William Shatner decided to make a deal with the owners of Star Trek for a young Captain Kirk to live on in future stories, and it's with his and later his estate's full approval. And that becomes a completely different thing than what Hollywood is trying to do right now, which is novelty or not, it's cutting real actors and actresses out of work.
Exactly.
And that's nothing that I ever want to see. So anyway, I guess that wraps us up for this week's show.
It absolutely does. Thank you again for everyone for joining us and watching. And please remember to like, share, and comment. That helps out our channel greatly. We're trying to build an audience here, and so thank you for watching.
Yeah, and any of you that want your portfolios reviewed on future shows, send it to me at David@glasshousegraphics.com. Alternately, you can send them to Chris at his ghthrowingstones at glasshouse.com, and we'll be happy to review on our future shows.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you to all of you who have joined us, and see you next week.
Yep. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.